Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got a line special guest, driver of the Hawaiian Nitro funny car, Tim Board. How you doing, Tim?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
So, Tim, first question I got for you is we're going to go backwards and see how did you get into drag racing and what year did you start drag racing?
I actually started drag racing in '66. I had a steel-bodied '55 Chevy, altered wheelbase, and it was more of a flop than anything else. But that's really where it started at, with the drag racing. And went to the next car was a fuel altered. Then I went to funny cars, and been racing funny cars and fuel altered ever since. I got my license in 1974 at Byron Dragway.
Nice. So now with the Hawaiian Nitro, how many years has this funny car been in existence now?
The chassis I've had the chassis for a while. The body has been about 6 years. I've had that body. The body was an old abandoned body that I found in the basement of the old Coca-Cola bottling plant in Peoria. And I rebuilt it and made it what it is. I lengthened the front end on it and made aluminum side panels for it, rocker panels for it. And I really like this nostalgia body. There's not a lot of Chargers around, and I really like that body. It's heavy, but we wrestle with it, and we seem to like it. And we've also got a carbon fiber rolls cutlass body, and we also have a T-bucket fuel altered body. And then Charger is funny car number 13 that I've had.
So now this year, have you done any racing with the funny car?
Yeah, we've had it. We took it out for some testing early in the season, and we've been bouncing back and forth between alcohol and nitro. Now we're kind of stuck on the nitro. I like the alcohol. I like the nitro setup, but it's really demanding on the pocketbook and the car. So we decided, well, we're going to go back to alcohol. So we put everything in it for an alcohol and ended up putting nitro back in it. So we're just running a small amount of nitro now and getting a baseline tune-up figured out for it. And whether we'll stay with the nitro for next year, I don't know. We may go back to alcohol again.
Well, you gotta live up to your name, Tim, Hawaiian Nitro.
Yeah, I know you gotta have that on there. Even if it's a little bit of nitro, it's a small amount. It's still nitro. So.
Now I know
nitro likes eating up the parts.
Now I know last year at Funny Car Chaos in Havana, you were doing some testing over there.
Yeah, we ran Funny Car Chaos after we tested. Like I said, we tested early, then we went down and tested again, and then we were there for the Funny Car Chaos and had a check valve that was sticking, that was stuck open, and was really dumping tons of fuel out of it, and didn't realize that check valve was stuck. And anyway, we've gotten that fixed, and we're going to go do some testing. In fact, we're going to do some testing this weekend down in Havana, and then we've got a match race set up with Keith Jackson for the 14th during Havana's nostalgia event.
Yeah, I saw the funny car because they were doing a live feed from the Havana last year. I saw your car run. The cars did not sound like it was on nitro. It sounded terrible.
Yeah, yeah. It was early in the season. It was too lean, and we were trying to figure out that combination using that small amount of nitro. And we had a big pump on it. We had to change the pump and cut the pump down a little bit. Too much fuel going in it, and then the next thing is it's too lean. So it's like with one of these. This is an old car. I mean, it's an old setup, and with these old cars, every run is a test run. And you finally you get enough test runs on it, you can finally get it nailed down to where it'll get from A to B in the time that you want it to do it. And the main thing is keeping it safe. You want to be safe, and I don't want to blow it up.
So how much nitro are you injecting into the car?
Right now we're running about 30% in it, and it'll bounce back and forth from 28 to, sometimes it'll get up to 40, depending on what it needs, what it's wanting. But right now we've got about 30% in it.
So
it seems to like that.
So have you done any full passes with that car yet?
Yeah, and we'll find out Saturday how it's gonna act. But I got some help from Dave the Thrill Hill and from Mike Cavallari. Those two guys are helping me out a little bit. They both get a lot of expertise in that field where we're doing this small amount of nitro, and I think we'll be able to get it nailed down. So, then next year we're going to put the altered body on it. We're going to try the altered body for next year, little T-bucket. And that body was the Excalibur body, and we're going to use it, and probably keep the nitro in it.
All right. So now, with the funny car body, how many full passes have you made with that car?
We've gotten about 5 or 6, if you want to call them full passes. We cooked a couple pistons 2 years ago with it on 85% nitro, and that was a pretty full pass, and it ate some pistons. So that's when we kind of decided, well, let's back away from the nitro a little bit. But we didn't. Then we went and got a couple more passes on it, and it seemed to do a little bit better. So, like I said, every run is a test run. So, you don't have the computers, and when it's not run with a laptop, it's run with your right foot. So, that's the old school.
Right.
So, and that's what I've been doing that for years, ever since I started. That's the way we didn't have all that stuff, but I was driving these old nostalgia cars back when they weren't nostalgia. So the first funny car was a Duster body that I bought from Jim Odie, and then we went to a Monza, and then then the cars got a little bit newer, and building new chassis, and then we landed on this chassis. It seems to work really well. And we've been using it for the past several years.
All right. So now, Tim, when you started out drag racing, were there any drivers that were inspirational to you back then?
Oh yeah, I wanted to be the new guy. I wanted to be the youngest driver out there, but Billy Meyer beat me to it. He was a little bit younger than I was when I first started, but we raced at some races with him. We'd race at the Manufacturers Fuel Funny Car Show in Byron every year, and they were all there. The Chi-Town Hustler and Don Perdome and Mongoose, and they were all the heavy hitters were there. And those guys, when the fuel cars would go to the starting line, we'd drop what we're doing and run up to the starting line, because back then you could just about stand up next to the cars, and that really gave me inspiration for nitro. I always wanted to run a nitro car. And we used to match race with Murph McKinney, Frank Hawley. These guys were all in our circuit. We used to race with Pro-Am 3 Championship Funny Car Circuit and UDRA, and then you do a lot of privateer bookings on your own. A lot of Union Grove and Cordova. Cordova was a big place for us to go to. There was always racing going on there, and Union Grove. I've match raced with Wayne Minnick, the Chi-Town Hustler, Tom Hoover, Tom Mottry. And Mottry's still racing. He's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, Jurassic Plastic. Yep.
And he was driving somebody else's car, and I used to match race with those guys.
Have you ever raced Doc Holliday?
I don't know. We raced at Union Grove with Doc Holliday. I don't know if I ever raced up against him, but yeah, he was there. Used to buy nitro from him, and he was. He's still a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
for the nostalgia deal.
Right. Then
So
I remember Color Me Gone years ago.
Roger Lindemood,
Yep.
yeah. We raced with Jungle Jim and the Vegas or the Monzas, and oh gosh, there were like you say, Roger Lindemood, Junior Thompson, and all those guys up around the Chicago area. There were so many cars. John Mesmania, Norm Day, and even Ohio George Montgomery had an alcohol funny car there for a while. I think his kid was driving it, and it was a Mustang. Really pretty car. Helped us tune it. And, anytime you can get tips from those guys is a good deal. They do nothing but help you.
Of course, you got Mike Minnick driving a new Chi-Town Hustler now.
Yep, yep, yep. And the guy that bought that, just had it on the tip of my tongue, too. Anyway, he had bought the Chi-Town Hustler, and I saw him down at St. Louis. There was a nostalgia show down there in St. Louis, and we went down there for that. And he was really having a tough time driving that car, and he finally got it handled. Had a couple of little mishaps with it, but now he's driving Tom Montre's car, Troy Martin.
Yeah.
And now he's driving Tom's car, but he had the Chi-Town Hustler.
Right.
And it was a nice piece. Yeah, nice car. And it was having such a tough time driving it, but he got it handled. Oh. But just about all those old guys, I had raced with them at one time or another. We actually had raced at Cordova for the World Series and broke a rear end in the second round, and had borrowed a rear end from Vic Tiffin and Hess, and didn't have a rear end gasket, and got a rear end gasket from Perdome, who was sitting right across from us. And boy, back in those days, the guys had a chaparral trailer and a dually, and they were just going at it, and tearing them down in between rounds and getting ready for the next round. But, Blue Max and all those guys were there. Raymond Beadle, and so it's really been a career to remember. I mean, I remember all these races and all the guys I raced with, and they're all legends now except me. but it was really something. I mean, I raced with Wild Willie Borsch. When Willie Borsch had his funny car, he had a Dodge Charger just like mine, and we're at Byron. He was, that guy was something else. He was definitely a fuel elder driver, I'll tell you. And Johnny Loper and from Lopers in Phoenix, Arizona, they were hard hitters, and they would put a bounty on Perdome's head. So anybody can beat. There's an extra $1,000 if whoever can put Perdome away for this race. And it was just a bookend show, and nobody could do it. Loper, and he had Johnny White driving his car, and he told him, he said, what if I can beat him? He said, you just keep your foot in it and hit the fire bottles, but beat him. And he did blow it up, but he did not beat Perdome. Nobody could beat him at that time. Perdome was beating everybody. Dale Armstrong was in our circuit. And, we raced with him a few times at the Alcoholic, and Tim Gross, and a lot of them.
Now,
it's been fun.
Have you ever raced against Dale Pulte?
Dale Pulte? No, never did. I know him. I've talked to him a few times, and we use his oil that he endorses, but no, I never have raced him.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see most of the cars you mentioned, because my dad started taking me to track when I was like 4 or 5 years old, going to Great Lakes Dragway and US 30 drag strip in Indiana. So yeah, now I'm 51, so you can figure out, back then.
Yeah, you went to Great Lakes during their 4th of July show, boy, they put on one heck of a show. They would actually, when it came down for funny car eliminations, they would, when the two funny cars, after they do their burnouts, they would back up and before they'd stage, right before they'd stage, they'd shut all the lights off going down the track, so you could see the header flames. So as soon as the cars took off, then they turned the lights back on. And it was amazing to watch that. I watched the past Blue Ribbon Charger, and Jungle Jim had gone up there and done a burnout and backed up, and they forgot to put fuel in it. And while the other car was backing up from his burnout, his guys came out there opened the body with it running and put fuel in it. You could never do that today.
Yeah.
But they dumped fuel in it so he could complete that run. And those guys were something. The fuel altereds back then and the cars back then were ill handling, and they didn't have the big spoilers on them and to keep them down. The engines were set way back for traction, so they thought, and that made them handle even worse. And I remember driving those back in those days. The cars were all over the track. At the end of the track, you were lucky to keep it in your lane. So, but now they're a lot different now.
Yeah, back then all the cars had their own unique look. Now the NHRA, almost all the cars look the same now.
Yeah, right. Yep, they all looked back then. They all looked like what they were supposed to be.
Yep.
But anyway,
then you had all the great names on the cars instead of the big sponsor names like they do now.
Yeah, we were. My parents owned a Z-Bart, local Z-Bart franchise, and that was one of our big sponsors, and we got asked to go to McCormick Place by our promoter to put the car on display during the World of Wheels Auto Show. So we put it in the lobby there, a car set up there for 10 days in the lobby with the Z-Bart name on it. And we ran the Z-Bart car for several years, and several different bodies. A Duster, a couple of different Monzas, like 3 different Monzas, a Vega, several different bodies we'd run that Z-Bart name on. And of course, then you have your product sponsors, VHT, Champion, Pennzoil. And we were sponsored by Bardol for quite a while, for several years. Had the Bardol sponsorship on several of the different bodies that we had. And it seemed like we were changing bodies about every year or two, put a different body on it. And just to try to keep up with the times. Not that we were destroying the bodies. A couple of them got hurt pretty bad, but mostly changing bodies just to keep up with everybody. You thought you had to have the newest, latest thing that was going to make you noticeable, make you noticed. You get your local sponsor. Have a paint company is one of my major sponsors, and they really stand behind me. And so we had their name on. I think we had them altered 3 different, including Charger. So we still got enough carbon body and a fuel altered body, so we're going to be using those next year.
So do you currently?
We can run chaos using that old Cutlass body, because the Charger is. I really am kind of careful with the Charger because it's an original '72 body, and it's old fiberglass. I mean, it's brittle and it's been fixed 100 times, and I'm just kind of being careful with it so it doesn't, destroy it. So, like I say, we'll stick the Olds body on here for next year, and the altered.
Now, currently, do you have any sponsors for your funny car?
Well, my own business is Z-Tech at Peoria. It's a throw off of Z-Bart, and that's going to be the major sponsor. And then we're looking at a couple other ones. Of course, we'll have Moores, and we're looking at a few other product sponsors. And but we right now we're just focusing on getting the car out and getting the bugs out of it, and getting the thing where it'll go from A to B in the time frame that we want it to, that we expect it to, without blowing it up and without having to tear it down every single run. You get too much nitro in it, and you just start eating parts of it. So, and we're trying to use a 3-speed transmission in it, and we've got a 2-speed. We've got all the nitro stuff, but I don't want to get into that mode again, because then you get limited on where you can run the car, who you can run with, and there's a couple of circuits that want us to race with them, but one of them you can't use any nitro at all. And that's why I kind of like the Funny Car Chaos deal. The Funny Car Chaos, you can run what you want, put as much nitro in as you want. Alcohol cars run against the nitro cars.
Yep.
And then you can your level depends on how fast you go. So that's what we're kind of striving for right now, to get the bugs out of it, so we can get it to go as quick as we can without blowing it up. So I don't have a lot of big sponsor deals lined up, but like I say, you're still, it's like you're constantly testing, and then every run is a test. So, and the guys that have started putting electronics in it and all the recording devices, it's very helpful, but it's just kind of leaving the privateer guy in the dust. And if you want to play, you got to pay. So.
Yep.
But as long as we're having fun, that's all that matters. And being safe.
So now we were talking about all the, good old times at Great Lakes Dragway. So you have a greatest memory of Broadway Bob?
Oh yeah. Broadway Bob, I'll tell you, he was something else. We had raced up there for it was probably a 4th of July race or one of those. I like those races up there because you can go for 3 days. You can race for 3 days without having to move. I mean, you're at the same track for 3 days. And it was like 3 separate bookings, and you go to get paid, and there was a little house up by the gate where you go in, and that's where Broadway would sleep. And you'd have to go up to that house, go in the front door, and walk up to a desk, and then they would give them your information, and they would pay you. Well, over in the corner was a bed, and it was you can imagine, it was an old bed. And here's Broadway laying in that bed, and he had a full day of it, and he'd been probably drinking the whole day. I don't know that for sure, but he probably was. And stepped up there, and I said, "Yeah, I'm Tim Board of the Z-Bar Funny Car." And he said, he perked up out of bed, got up out of the bed, and he was fully dressed. And, "Hey, I want to get Z-Bar put on my car." And I think it was the same car he had when he died. And he would wear a leisure suit type pants, a white shirt with a big wide collar, and a gold chain around his neck, and white patent leather shoes. And his sunglasses, he wore the gaudiest sunglasses you've ever seen.
Yeah,
but he was always a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was always a nice guy. He always treated me well, and I'd call him up on the phone and say, "Broadway, I got no place to race this weekend. You got anything going?" "Oh, come on up. We'll find a place for you. Come on, we'll put you some." And you go up there, and he always would. Whether it was a big race or it was just a 2-day deal, he'd always find some place for you to run, a couple cars for you to match race with. And it was something. And Ron Leak at Cordova, or at Rockford, I had gone up there and got my license at Rockford, Byron, and he wanted me to make all 6 runs. You got to make 6 runs to get your funny car license, and you're supposed to make it on 2 separate days. Well, he said, "Let's get all this done in 1 day because you're disrupting my program." I said, "Okay," and it was about 100 degrees that day. And we made 5 runs, and the car was so hot, the transmission was so hot, we were having to put melt bags of ice on the transmission to cool it off to get some fluid in it, because it would percolate all the fluid out of it. At that time, we were using a torque light. And the 6th run, went up there and did a long burnout and backed up and got ready to go, and the thing went about 200 feet, and the transmission exploded. It blew holes in the body, got my left foot, blew holes in the roof, parts flying everywhere. The thing just came sliding to a stop in the middle of the track, and it was on fire. I couldn't get out of the car fast enough, and I'm telling you, I had a transmission fluid in my sock. It was horrible. I had to drag the thing in the trailer to get it off the track, and he was mad at me over that deal. I called him the next year. That was the last race of the season. I called him the next year about coming for testing. He says, I don't think so. He said, I just got that track cleaned up from all that transmission fluid you left on it, and I don't want to see it again. So that was it was a bad deal. But he finally, I saw him years later, and he was fine with it. He was okay with it. But yeah, that was something. That industrial body looked like he took a shotgun to it.
So how many years has it been since you've been to Union Grove?
It has been probably, probably at least 10 years since I've been there. Yep.
Now, how about Cordova?
Cordova, we were up there just about 2 years ago. When up there, we ran a fuel altered circuit where it was nothing but fuel altered. So we had I think we had 13 or 14 members, and we had booked a show in up there with for 10 cars. We went up there with, I think we showed up with 11 cars, and everybody made their runs, and they were running the program differently. And a lot of the guys didn't care for the way the program was being run, so a few of them left, and the ones that did run didn't get paid. So they just kind of soured on that deal. It was I think they were trying out something new, some new kind of program they were trying to do, where everybody would run a couple of runs, or run on Friday, a couple of runs on Saturday, and only bring back the two fastest cars. So guys were driving 300, 400, 500 miles to run 3 times and not get paid. If anything happened, it didn't seem like a good deal. But I hear they got it straightened out, and it seems to work good now. But the fuel altered circuit kind of went by the wayside because you couldn't get it. Most of the guys couldn't get any help. So there's so many cars, professional cars, that are sitting, and really top shelf cars that are sitting because the guys can't find any help. They don't have any help to run the car or a place to run them. So, but I'm glad that the people they're really putting a lot of emphasis on the 8-mile tracks now. That's attractive to a lot of guys because you can run the car. You don't have to run the car as hard. It's cheaper to run it, and seems like there's more tracks participating. And the Funny Car Chaos is 8-mile.
Yep.
So that's you got to really be on your toes to compete with those guys. But seems like everybody likes it. It's really reviving. It's really reviving funny car racing, alcohol and nitro. And the poor guy can actually go run his nitro car and stand a chance of making some pretty good money.
Yep. So now, Tim, after all these years of doing the drag racing thing, what still keeps you passionate about doing this?
It's just inborn, I guess. You just want to keep doing it, and you think, well, and there are times I look at the car. I really like the way the car looks. And it's to me, it's just out and out a hot rod, and boy, driving it, there's just nothing like it. And once that engine fires and the body drops, there's nothing like it. But nothing lasts forever. But I'm going to keep going as long as I can, as long as my wife doesn't shoot me. And that has come up a couple times, so. She said, I don't have to worry about you dying, but you may be worried about me murdering you. So, but she gets a kick out of it too. She really encourages me, and she helps me. She's there. She helps me get dressed and get my fire suit on. Takes a lot of pictures and talks to a lot of people, and so she's a big part of it. So that really helps.
Yeah, you could do it for some more years. Look at the Greek. He's still out there.
Oh yeah, a lot of Look, John Force is older than me, and he's still kicking it. Yep. So I can get a few more, I think.
And look at John Force just got that 150th career win.
Yeah, he sure did. He sure did. And that was fantastic. Wow, that's a milestone that I don't think anybody will ever beat that.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for anybody to catch that. Yeah. And he
Yeah.
started out with a lot less than me, and so did I. Used to race at Havana, race funny cars in Havana when Tim Wilkerson was down there watching. Before he even started racing. It's been a long time ago. I started in Havana. Well, Havana. We went to Havana when it first opened. I flipped. I had a gasser, a little Chevy 2 tilt front end straight axle gasser that came apart about halfway down the track and flipped it down there at Havana. That was a long time ago. Yeah.
So what was the experience like for you, Tim, to drive a nitro car for the first time ever?
It was amazing, really, and that was I think the first time was Cordova, and I couldn't believe how hard the car pulled from the middle of the track on. The alcohol cars leave so hard, it's almost like tunnel vision. I mean, they really, if you got good bite and the right gear ratio, the thing leaves like a rocket. And but you get about half track, you get it rung out in low gear and get it about halfway through second, it starts to level off. It's still very, very fast, but it starts to level off. 220, 225 miles an hour. But the nitro car, from half track on, it feels a little bit sluggish taking off, but after a short period, boy, that thing on the other end, just mid-track on, just hang on, because it just keeps pulling and doesn't want to stop. And boy, I'm glad this track's only a quarter mile long. Never would get it stopped. Yeah, it was something. I loved it. Boy, I got out of that car at the other end of the track, and my nose was running, and I was so hopped up, and the adrenaline is going so much. You can't hardly speak. And everybody's, my crew is my brother, a younger brother that is still with me. He's trying to calm me down. Calm down. Let's get this thing back up there, and let's do it again. Fill up, put some fuel on. Let's do it again. But yeah, it was something. It was really something. I like the nitro. And I see now the price is going up on it to where it makes it even harder to use. So, not in addition to eating your engine up, now it gets so expensive you can't hardly afford to run it.
So where do you purchase your nitro from?
I've been getting it from Schumacher, from Don Schumacher. We were getting it from VP, but VP, the prices went nuts. And then Sunoco ended up getting the fuel distributorship for NHRA, so now they're the big producers of nitro, but all nitro comes from China anyway. But Schumacher was doing some selling nitro, and you can't use it at an NHRA event because it doesn't have the indicator dye in it. It's clear. And the racing nitro that you get from Sunoco or from VP is yellow. And NHRA won't allow that clear nitro. So, but it was priced reasonable there for a while. Now it's gone up. So now with the trade embargo deal with China, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we got enough to finish out the rest of this year, and we'll see what happens over the winter time with the nitro thing. That's going to be another determining factor if you're even going to be able to get it. I mean, without paying $3,000 a barrel for it. The corporate guys can do that, but the privateer guys can't.
Right.
So, kind of see what happens there over the winter.
So now, when you take the Hawaiian Nitro funny car out, how many crew members do you have with you, and who are all your crew members?
Usually 5. We've got I've got a fellow that's part owner, Bill Parlier, and then I've got a crew guy, Kurt Gass, and his son Justin, and they're really good crew people, and I've got a couple other people that can go. I've got a nephew, and I've got my two stepsons. My two stepsons get in there, and they help me out a lot. So we've got crew people. We've got plenty of crew people. So, and ironically, that's usually what kills a racing team is not having a crew. And then, like I said, I've got Dave Hill. He's from up around Chicago area. He's helping me, and Mike Cavallari from Omaha. He's helping, and they're really tremendous helpers. Dave Hill's got a lot of experience in this kind of thing. So does Mike Cavallari. Cavallari ran in a Nitro top fuel dragster and a Nitro flying car, and Dave Hill's. This is right up his alley with his Aldred, Aldred that they run, and doing this small amount of Nitro thing. He's really sharp on it. So we're pretty confident we're going to be able to get this all the bugs worked out of this. So we're going to try Saturday again. So we get people helping. The guys come over and help me with the truck and the trailer, and we've got our own toted home and a 45-foot trailer, and so it's comfortable for everybody. Air conditioning, and so it's comfortable for everybody. So they don't mind going. They like to go.
So now what?
We were thinking about maybe going to US 41. I haven't been there. It's been a long time since I've been there. Last time I was there was with our fuel Aldred, Fiat fuel Aldred, and that car was. I had a Matco sponsorship with a local Matco distributor, and I've also got the touch program for Children's Hospital. That's on the car, and so that's kind of a charity type thing that we put that on the car for that. And we do a touch picnic at a local park for these are for heart patients. The touch means children's hearts, understanding children's hearts, and we do a benefit for them. So we put their names on the car, and all the little kids like to get their picture taken with the car and in the car. So that's we try to do as many of those things as we can. We do a car show for the American Diabetes Association, and we try to do those as many of those things as we can as the schedule will allow. So, but when you're still testing, you're testing. It's hard to have a solid schedule. Hard to say, I'm going to be in this place or I'm going to be at that place on such and such a day. Well, right now we're testing and we're not really focusing on scheduled appearances. We're focusing on getting the thing right, getting it where it's getting all the bugs out.
So with all the testing and trying to get the bugs out, do you have a quickest runtime yet?
Do I have a what?
A quickest runtime for that car yet?
The quickest time for the car?
Yeah, you have one yet?
Oh, not really. I mean, I think the Aldred, which is the same car, just a different body.
Right.
We ran it down in Havana, and we did we set their track record for the quickest 60-foot time, and it ran a 083 or is a .831 at 101 miles an hour for 60 feet, and then the thing just wanted to get sideways and start spinning the tires. But we did have the quickest 60-foot time down there for many years, and I think that's finally been broken. But as far as a overall time, in the 8th mile, the car's going to be low fours. Quarter mile, we've run as quick as a 565 at 265. But that was a Nitro.
Right.
And we had a Camaro body on it. It was a maroon and black Camaro body. We match raced with Tom Hoover and Montry and Shakeout Russell. So that was about the best.
So now, when you're out on the track, Tim, for a day of racing, when you get on the track, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstition when you're in the car?
Well, no. I like to be able to be in the car early, and I've got a ventilation fan in there that plumbed right into my helmet, and I can turn that on, and I can just sit back and relax. After my belts are on and I'm ready to go, I can, and I'm hoping I'm at least a couple cars away, and I can put my head back and just relax and calm down and gather my thoughts and think about the job that I have to do. And I really try to keep from being nervous, and anybody that drives one of those cars knows that just about every time when you get up there, without fail, you got to pee. You got to go to the bathroom. But you're not getting back out of that car. You're already strapped in, and those guys really work hard to get you strapped in the car. So you just got to sit still, and so I just relax, and that's kind of my ritual. It really helps me. I can concentrate on what I'm doing, what I've got to do. Right. And that way, I usually don't forget anything. There's been times when I've put it in second and third gear at the same time, and times I've forgotten the parachutes. And you get going that fast, and it's overwhelming. But you can't do that. You got to concentrate on what you're doing, and taking that little snooze, that little relax before I get up there really helps. But other than that, that's about the only ritual, other than walking down the track to make sure there's no, on a new track, a track that you haven't been on before.
Right. And
I've been on some doozies. The Thunder Valley down in Missouri, that thing was crazy track. And Cameron, Missouri, and there's still a lot of match racing down there with the Aldern and the Funny Car both. But there's a lot of those tracks still out there that are outlaw tracks, and boy, they can't wait to get cars like this down there. And they really treat you well, but boy, we got to be careful. They said, well, we just want you to do 400-foot burnouts and 500-foot runs and shut it off, because we don't want you to be able to do it 3 times. We don't want to come down there and fish out of the weeds. And that's what most of those tracks are. But that's a lot of fun.
So now, how did the name Hawaiian Nitro come about?
My wife has it's a smoothie drink, and she had a smoothie machine, and we started out using that for the touch picnic for the heart patient kids, and she started giving drinks out, and these drinks are ice cream and all different flavors, and it was she did one that was called a Hawaiian, and it's a non-alcohol drink. It was ice cream and pineapple and a few different ingredients in it, and one of the kids or one of the parents had come up to us and said, hey, you guy who runs the Funny Car, and I said, yes. She says, does this have any nitro in it? I said, no, this is just a Hawaiian. She said, well, it is really good. You need to call it Hawaiian Nitro. So that's where the name came from. So that's a good name for the car. So that's what we put on the car, was Hawaiian Nitro. And I came face to face with Roland Leong over it this one time too, up at Cordova. And he said, why you name it Hawaiian? I said, well, it's because of it. And I explained that to him, and he just said, uh-huh. Like he didn't believe me, but that's exactly where the name came from. And we were going to change it here a couple of years ago, but thought, well, we've got so much stuff that's printed up and T-shirts and uniforms and everything. It's got